Let's go live now to our affiliates at Fox News. This is US President Donald Trump sitting down for his first interview with Sean Hannity since the capture of Nicolas Maduro.
A lot relative to what I bought, but he gave a big chunk to Afghanistan, which was just insane. That was one of the most embarrassing moments in the history of our country. This was the opposite. This was a total, if you think about Jimmy Carter with the hostages, or you think about the Afghanistan disaster that we had not so long ago with Biden, where it was just mass confusion and the death of 13 great soldiers who I got to know. I got to know the families very well, great people. But also, and nobody talks about them, 48 people so badly injured and hundreds of people dead. Hundreds of people. You know, when those bombs blew off, because I count the other side, but there were hundreds of people killed, all because of an incompetent group of politicians and generals and people that shouldn't be there.
Let's talk a little bit, maybe an underreported story, but we know for a fact that both the Russians and the Chinese provided missile and ballistic missile systems. They did it to both. They helped Iran and they helped Venezuela. But you were able to dismantle that. You talk a lot about American military superiority. And then that goes into the issue that you raised this week of raising the budget for 2027 from $1 trillion to $1.5 trillion. We
need it. You know, when you look at the threat out there, we have the best equipment in the world. We make the best equipment in the world. We make just, there's nothing even close. But we need it because there are some real threats out there.
Yeah. Well, I think we certainly do. Let me ask you about this. And I think this is important. With every military operation comes risk, and you have to obviously weigh that risk. And I think Americans would want to know what goes into your thinking, because there's a whole new military doctrine. I call it the Trump doctrine. I think it's widely misunderstood. No forever wars. However, that doesn't mean you don't use the might and power of the U.S. military. You mentioned Baghdadi, Soleimani. I'll add the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, the ISIS caliphate, and then taking out Iran's nuclear weapon sites. And now our hemisphere. Are you calling it the Monroe Doctrine?
Well, they call it the Monroe. I didn't call it that, but they're calling it's the Monroe Doctrine. Now they call it the Monroe, which is basically safety for this part of the world. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We don't want drugs pouring into our country. We don't want bad people coming into our country like happened for 4 years under Biden, who was a disgrace, worst president in the history of our country. Horrible. We had some other bad ones. Let me tell you, Obama was a terrible president. The divisiveness and the hatred that was caused, and many of the people allowed into the country. But what Biden did was a step beyond anything that anybody's ever done, where you had millions of people pouring through the border. Now we have nobody coming in unless they come in legally.
Let's talk about, you said for the interim, you will be in charge. Okay. Obviously, the remaining leadership underneath Maduro, they've made, I mentioned earlier, 3 major concessions, 30 to 50 million barrels of oil. They're going to buy and purchase all their goods from America. Now they're releasing political prisoners.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your ultimate goal for the governance of Venezuela?
Prisoners that nobody thought they would ever see again are being released, yeah. And in many cases, good people is what I understand. But prisoners, nobody ever thought they'd be released. So we're going to be working with them and leadership of the country. And so far, we've been working very well. You know, we picked up the Russian freighter that trudged out there.
I want to ask you about that.
Well, they had some Russian ships guarding it, and they decided not to mess around with us. And we took that one. And that's unloading the oil. But we're taking billions and billions of dollars worth of oil, and it'll be hundreds of billions of dollars. It'll be trillions of dollars. But we're going to be there till we straighten out the country. We'll see how the country's doing. But we'll be running the oil. We're meeting tomorrow with all of the big oil executives. We're going to be right here in the White House. We're going to meet with the, biggest oil people in the world. They're all coming here. The top 14 companies are coming here. They're going to go in. They're going to rebuild the whole oil infrastructure. They're going to spend at least $100 billion. And it's an unbelievable oil that they have and an unbelievable quality of oil and amount of oil.
when they nationalized the oil industry in Venezuela, going back to the 1920s, American companies had invested billions.
We built it.
All of it.
And then it was taken away from us.
Stolen.
It was stolen from us. And it was taken away, years ago over a period of time, but it was taken away in the early 2000s, even beyond that, but the early 2000s. And I just took it back.
I can't imagine them being able to, they have the largest oil reserves in the world. I can't imagine without American investment, ingenuity, engineering, and our assistance that they would ever be able to tap into the vast resources that they have. Again, the largest in the entire world. So that will be a big part of it. What does that mean in terms of America's new partnership with Venezuela?
Well, it means lower oil prices all over the world, which is great for everybody. It means lower oil prices for America, which I have it down. Don't forget, I inherited a mess. They talk about affordability. There was no affordability under Biden. He had the worst inflation in history, the highest and worst inflation in history. Prices were through the roof, and I'm fixing it. I inherited a mess. I say it all the time. I inherited, because people don't understand, I inherited a mess. Open borders, millions of people in this country that shouldn't be. We're moving them out. We're moving them out pretty rapidly, too. Murderers and drug dealers and just some of the worst people in the world came in, not only from Venezuela, from all over the Congo. The Congo sent us tremendous numbers of people. I don't know what it is with the Congo. They open their jails and they walk into our country. They drive them up to our front entrance. They get out and they walk right into our country. And these are tough, hardened criminals. These are real criminals, and from many countries. I mean, they came from Africa, they came from the Middle East, they came from South America, but a lot came from Venezuela. He opened his prisons and sent all of the people from his prisons into the United States. Why not? I do the same thing about it. You take the people, they're nothing but trouble for you, and they're killers, and they're the worst people that you can imagine. I mean, some of the crimes are so bad you wouldn't believe it. We just accepted them into our country. Nobody did anything about it. So we're getting them out. Washington, D.C., as an example, was very dangerous, and now it's very safe. I mean, everybody's coming to Washington. It's a very safe city now, and before, when I took over, it was really a danger. It got really bad. We had it pretty good, but it wasn't really a focus because you didn't hear the level of danger until my second term. My first term, we watched Washington. But it wasn't like it was the big deal. Now, all of a sudden, when I came here, I was hearing stories about the kind of crime that they had here. People come in from Iowa and from Indiana and great places, and they end up calling the parents that your son has been killed. Doesn't happen anymore. We have a very safe, Washington, D.C. is a very safe city. We put our National Guard there. They're all central casting. You take a look at these guys, it's great. We won the case on merit, based on merit from the Supreme Court, a great victory, a courageous victory, actually. But this country is now based on merit again.
Let me ask you about Maria Corina Machado. I've had her on TV this week.
Yeah, she's a very nice person.
Okay, she won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
When she accepted that Peace Prize, she dedicated it to you. She said to me this week, both on TV and radio, that she wants to give the Nobel Prize, her Nobel Peace Prize, to you for liberating her country. In 2023, she won over 92% of the vote to be the leader of the opposition. Maduro kept her off the ballot. Do you have any plans to meet with her? And would you accept the Nobel Prize she wants to hand to you?
Well, I understand she's coming in next week sometime. And I look forward to saying hello to her, and I've heard that she wants to do that. That would be a great honor. I did put out 8 wars, 8 and a quarter, because, Thailand and Cambodia started going at it again. So
I'll put the list up
I give
if
a
you
quarter,
want.
so it's, you put the list out. It's a hell of a list. But I've stopped 8 wars. And I think, it's been a major embarrassment to Norway. Now, I don't know what Norway has to do with it, but that's where the committee is located, a lot of Norwegian people. And it's been a very big embarrassment to the country of Norway, whether they have anything to do with it or not. I think they do. They say they don't. But, you know, when you put out 8 wars, in theory, you should get 1 for each war, okay? Because some of these wars were going on for 30 years. India, Pakistan was ready to go at it big, and these are 2 nuclear countries. I got that one stopped. 8 planes were shot down. They were really at it, and I got it stopped. It was a big one. You look at the Congo, Rwanda and the Congo. They've been fighting for 30 years, and I got it stopped. I got so many wars, so it's such a beautiful thing. It makes me feel so good. Not because of a Nobel Prize, but because I saved millions and millions of lives, and that's what really makes me feel good.